What this video is about, I've been wanting to do it for ages, is about how don't tell me no, or you can't, or you shouldn't, or don't, because it's I don't know if it's the opposite of a demand or whatever it is, but it's really triggering for me to do the opposite. People are trying to help me or whatever by telling me not to do something because it's for my own good or whatever it is. Hopefully the sun's going in a bit now. Not really, it's still really bright. So I guess give you an example. So I guess when you're a teenager, you're told like, don't stay out, don't go out, don't do drugs, don't drink, don't smoke, don't hang around with those people, don't wear that, don't go out like that, don't put makeup on, don't get a tattoo, whichever side it's on. You know, all of these things just made me want to do it. And yeah, okay, it's a bit of rebellion at that point in my life, probably. And when you're a child, you're pushing your limits and boundaries. I suppose all children are doing that. But especially for a pediator, I think it is literally so triggering that you literally just want to do the opposite. I mean, often it is literally like, put your shoe on. What, this shoe? I'll throw it across. Or almost you could say, like, don't put your shoes on. They'll be much more likely to put the shoes on. Oh, don't eat that broccoli. Ooh. I mean, it's a tactic that can be employed by carers and teachers and parents. Is the reverse psychology. It's simple, but it works, I think, sometimes. But well-meaning people, sort of in my adult life, have said things to me, and it's often really spurred me on to greatness on some occasions by telling me not to do something, or that I can't do it, or it shouldn't be or couldn't be done. So, for example, my latest thing is I'm doing stand-up comedy, mostly because people have said, like, oh, you can't do that, you know, at your age, or a woman that aren't funny, you shouldn't do that, you're a woman, or you can't say my poem is the C word, or you can't say that word, or whatever. So I did a whole poem about it. It's actually sort of spurred me on, and I thought, right, well, I'll do a comedy talk course, and then I'll go off and do it. And they said, oh, you can't get a big gig at something like Travesties until you've been gigging for at least 5 years. And I was like, oh, really? You want to bet? So it's like it's a challenge. It triggers me to sort of do the opposite. It's very childish. I suppose that's one trait. I'm 41 now, by the way. So this is, oh, bless her, right? This is my friend. She might watch it, she might not. She doesn't really know about the PDA. But recently I wanted to get lip fillers because I'd seen it everywhere, and I was just like, one lip seems bigger or smaller than the other when I did my vlogs. So she's like, oh, don't get lip fillers, you don't need it. My husband's like, don't get lip fillers, you don't need it, you've got nice lips anyway. I was like, I'm so getting lip fillers. But now what's happened is, now this is where it becomes dangerous, because I was quite happy with them. And they did, and I thought, oh, I could go a bit bigger. It wasn't something that was necessary in my mind, but she said, don't. If you do, I'll be really, like, I will slap you, or like in a jokey way. And I was like, don't say that to me, because it's making me want to get them now. And she's like, no, don't, really, Heather, because you're going to look, it's going to look fake, it's going to do this. And I'm serious, don't do it. The more serious she became, and like well-meaning, because she doesn't want me to go too far, is really pushing me. And I went straight back and booked the appointment. And it's horrible, because like someone's like, don't jump or something. I was just like, splat. I literally have done things where people have gone like, don't run into the middle of the road and strip naked, and I've done it. Or like, the worst thing was when I went sober last year. It was for my own health, and I put the demand on myself to be sober because I was drinking too much. And it was alright at first, because I don't know why it was alright at first, but like, the more it became a demand not to drink, it really, really, really became very tough. And I know that's tough for addicts in any sense, and I think that's why we have addiction problems and breaking addictions and stuff. Like, the more I was like, I cannot drink, then I eventually broke down. And now it's easier for me to manage, because I can say to myself, well, I could drink today if I want to, because I'm just mindfully drinking, whatever, but I might not, and then I can sort of deal with it. But as soon as I'm like, don't do that. Has anyone out there had a problem with diet or food? I think as soon as I'm on a diet plan or something, and you can't have bread, or you can't have sugar, or you can't have anything, it's almost like, is it a thing? Because I'm not an expert, I'm just somebody with PDA. Like, is it a thing that you have the opposite of a demand avoidance, like an anti-demand contradiction or something? Because it literally seems to me like I will do the opposite of what someone tells me not to do, and that has put me into risky situations. People tell me, I talked about it in my last video about hitchhiking, so they're like, don't hitchhike, it's really dangerous, or don't jump trains, you'll get caught, or don't smoke this, don't take this tablet, things like that. And it's so dangerous, especially when you're vulnerable and you're younger. I'm older now and I'm still doing it, like the thing with the lips, like the thing with the comedy, like, oh, we moved to Lapland as well, because I was like, oh, we had some money and we were going to buy a house in England, and then people were like, yeah, definitely, I don't move abroad. I was like, I might move abroad. Then we saw this house for sale in Lapland, like a little log cabin. We thought, oh, that would be crazy. No way you're just going to move to like northern Sweden, Lapland. Guess where we moved? We moved to Swedish Lapland. And then we got loads of dogs because everyone was like, oh, you've got 2 huskies, that's cute. Don't get any more. We ended up with 40 huskies. People like, don't go my husband like was struggling work. He was like, don't go self-employed. It's really hard. It's really difficult. Like, I mean, there are some good things about it, but I stay in your job, whatever. Well, he's self-employed now. It's what I'm trying to say is it can be nice for people to want to protect you and look after you. And if you're an adult PDA with a child who's PDA or a teenager, I imagine that'd be terrible. Really, honestly, it sounds simple, but I'm honestly sure that reverse psychology is the best way forward. Or just not saying it as in don't do it, like, oh, you're going out with your mates to do some drugs tonight. Yeah, have fun. Might be better than going like, don't do drugs. I don't know, but I just think that the just say no thing for me was like a red flag to a bull. I always remember the heroin poster with like don't do heroin, and all I did was I went around and collected loads of anti-heroin posters and just like put them all over my wall and then tried to get heroin. I didn't, luckily, but like it was so severe, my reaction to being told not to do something, and still it is, that yeah, just don't say no is my message to you. I hope somebody out there agrees with me.